Okay. Live. Should be live. Is my microphone? Yeah, okay, so everything looks like it's working. I need to see how it looks on the live page because I'm trying to stream at 1440p. It looks on the live page. Okay. Wait, this is actually 1440p. This is a 1440p live stream. Okay, let's see how it looks. Hold up. Let's make the audio a little bit louder. Okay. Wow, this is 1440p. Wait, maybe I can stream at 4K. We'll see how this looks. I'm streaming at a much higher bitrate. So I figured I'll try, since I'm streaming at a really high bitrate, I should try 1440p. See how it looks. So far, it looks pretty good. We'll see how it looks. May have to test a different game. Like Genshin Impact. So, anyway. Let's see. I just logged in to do dailies, and we need to do the weekly. Complete this thing. One time. I don't have any of these. I have barely any of those. I'm probably gonna need that thing. Okay. YouTube recommends 9500 kbps for 1440p. That is not enough for that resolution. How many of these do I need, actually? Do I have a destruction character that actually needs these? Otherwise... Oh, wait. Hook? This guy. I already... No, he's already maxed. Unless I ascend him. So who do I need to level up? Oh, I guess I should look at who I'm going to ascend. These things aren't hard to make. I guess I'll do, since I have 2 tank characters that I know of, I'm probably gonna do a different one. I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do it at least one time. I'll probably need to do weeklies also. Just pick somebody real quick. I wish I had Welt. Why is Serval not at max health? Okay, let's just run this real quick.
Keep up. You can fight it or rock with it. Who's next? Just a little something.
I want her to just heal everybody.
Disappear among the sea of butterflies. Illusions of the past.
I feel like I'm so behind in this game because I haven't played it for 2 days. I'm so far behind now. Complete Echo of War. Oh, this thing. Oh yeah, I need to do these. It resets in 3 days. The thing is, I kind of want to hit the next ascension level first. So, which means I need to spend more of the, what is this stuff called? Trailblaze power. I need to use this up first. So we'll do these, probably like three waves. Who's a character that I don't have that would be good in this? Physical. I don't have a strong physical damage dealer. Oh, you know what? I can actually choose the female. I don't have her, and I'm still kind of annoyed. Well, I've kind of gotten over it at this point, not being able to have all the characters because I chose the male protagonist instead. I've kind of gotten over not being able to play as the female protagonist, because the problem with this game, it's not really a problem, but I feel like the male to female ratio is going to be really low in this game, just from how it started out, just looking at it. So if I realize now in a lot of the cutscenes, if the protagonist was a female, there would literally only be like one male in, like, it would typically be like Dan Hung or Welt. Hey Matt, I think you're the first one to comment. I'm surprised Joey isn't here. Joey usually is always the one with the first comment. He's there and then kind of like exits halfway through the stream. Unless I'm talking about something that piques his interest, like overclocking or computer hardware. Oh, Joey's here, but you weren't the first to comment this time. Yeah. I don't know how long the stream's gonna be because I am kind of tired. Wait, what was I trying to do? Oh, we'll just run her. Oh, she's only level 20 though. Get Dan Hung and we don't have a problem. I think this is fine. Actually, no. Get rid of her. Even though she would probably make this extremely easy. Well, just run them like this.
Fighting is meaningless.
Don't mess with me.
Another week is almost over. It's almost the weekend. How are you guys doing?
That'll take more than...
Alright, let me just let's do automation.
The sanctuary is but a vision.
Actually, before we do this... Oh wait, she cut in line? How did they cut in line? I thought the protagonist was supposed to get a turn. Why is it Zila's turn again?
Let's make it quick.
Let's see what she can do. Single target.
That'll take more than medicine.
I don't even know what she did.
Thanks.
Hey Joey, so I got that software application. I haven't had a chance to look at it all week, but I'll probably look at it this weekend. I don't think I'm gonna be able to look at it tomorrow, but I'll probably be able to look at it this weekend.
Who's next? I'll free you from your chains. Disappear among the sea of butterflies. Illusions of the past.
No interest in conflict.
Man, they get so many turns. She got another turn. She's the most broken character in the game. She gets so many turns. Oh, he almost... Okay. There, the protagonist actually did something. What? That didn't die?
The truth of
He's like, no, I want to turn.
The sanctuary is but a vision.
1440, he just dealt 1440 damage. So I'm actually streaming at 1440p this time to see if it looks any better. Oh, we're almost. I'm about to hit the next. Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to hit the next ascension level until I'd have to level up one more time. I have to rank up one more time. So, hold on. How many of these do I have? I feel like I'm still low on these. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do those weekly boss fight things, because that's a daily. I'm gonna need one of these. Yeah, I might as well just do this now. Oh, you can actually summon an ally for this fight. I really like that this game lets you summon a character that's owned by another player. Oh, like, see, I don't have this character, so it's nice because I don't feel like... I feel like the gacha mechanic in this game can kind of be sidestepped to a degree, because you can summon in another player's character and control that character for that fight. That's one of the coolest features about this game. I don't play a lot of gacha games, so I don't know if this is a unique feature specifically to this game, or if other games prior to this one have already introduced this functionality. Because you can't do this in Genshin Impact. So we're going to summon her because fire is on the list. And then I'm probably going to keep this the same. Actually, you know what? Let's make this fight harder than it... No, I don't know about that. We'll go with... Let's make this fight harder than it needs to be. Let's rely on Himiko, the support character. And I'm going to use Gepard, actually. We're going to go with this.
Move carefully.
Alright, I'm gonna let them auto this and see what the computer decides to do. Let's see how the AI handles this fight. Let's see how ChatGPT handles this fight. See what it decides to do. It already built up his shield. So there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. There are rumors, leaks now. We've seen footage of boxes of mainstream GPUs, both the RTX 4060 Ti and the RX 7600.
You won't get away.
There were also some leaks about the RDNA 3 lineup for the remainder of the year. I don't really know. It's kind of weird how there's only one SKU that utilizes the 7800, or the 7800 XT is literally on like one SKU or one chip, and everything else is a cut down variant of something else, which I find kind of weird. So the smaller die, the die that's for the 7700 XT, supposedly that one is what's going to power the 7600. I'm not sure what the lineup's supposed to look like when it's finalized. I don't know if they're getting rid of... There's another rumor too about like XTX and the fact that they're not doing XT as like the fully enabled die. I don't know if I agree with that. I already don't really like how AMD did XTX. I don't like how they brought that back. They should just keep that as an internal only naming scheme, because that's exactly how it's been for many years now, for like over a decade.
The sanctuary is but a vision.
Humanity never conceals its desire to control the heavens, and I'm no exception.
this boss fight is pretty long, so it's better to just let the computer do it. Unless you're severely underleveled, then you kind of have to manually control things. I'm just gonna actually force her to heal.
You won't get away.
It is weird seeing this fight where I can't rely on Zayla, because I rely on her so much. So by bringing Himiko into the fight, we get to see what she can do instead. Although it looks like nothing on this boss is weak to Quantum.
Control the heavens, and I'm no exception.
Hey Psycho. You liked XTX because of nostalgia? You had a 1900 XTX back in the day. See, the only problem, it's cool, but it's...
That's better.
I just think it makes the product name seems too long. I think if AMD wants to use XTX branding, they need to drop the RX at the front. So, instead of calling something Radeon RX 7900 XTX, they should just call it Radeon 7900 XTX. Get rid of the RX. If they're gonna do, like... What I'm saying is they shouldn't have more than 2 letter X in the name. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're gonna put an X at the beginning of the name, like RX, then the end of the name should only have 1 X, like XT. It shouldn't be RX and then XTX. It's just too many X's. It makes it seem kind of, yeah, you know, like that's the extreme. So like XFX, the XFX RX 7900 XTX Triple X edition, that's just too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't present well. I mean, it might present well to like teenagers or something. I don't know who that would appeal to, but like that just doesn't look. It looks so like old school to me. You know what I'm saying? Like the old, like back in the day when people played StarCraft, like anyone's BattleNet usernames would have like double X and then underscore Hunter X underscore XX, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it looks kind of like that kind of branding. That's what it makes me think of when I see RX and then XTX at the end. If they really want to do XTX, they need to drop the RX thing. The RX thing, now, I don't like what Nvidia did, because Nvidia never should have made the RTX brand. Like, they should have just kept GTX. It was so easy when it was GTX and RX. Now that it's RTX and RX, it can be confusing to people who don't really know that there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? So it creates the potential for consumer confusion. So, but Nvidia is pretty good at that. So,
Your voice is like an alarm.
you know what I mean? There's a lot of examples. 3GB 1060, 6GB 1060. Don't even talk about the 20 series and how many different variants. The 12GB 2060. Alright, so we did that thing. And we hit level 39. Complete 1 daily mission. So AMD shouldn't have brought back XTX, because does everybody know, like,
I'll need to record today's
6900 XT? 6900 XT is actually 6800 XTX. Or I guess, it depends on how you look at it. So the 6800 XT could be the 6800, or the 60, if the 6800 XT is the 6900 XT, then the 6900 XT is actually the 6900 XTX. And the 6950 XT is the KXTX. So those names exist on the RDNA 2 cards, but they're not publicly visible because they're internal engineering code names. And what they did with RDNA 3 is they're like, well, let's just use the engineering code name out in the public. It's like, I don't know. So what that means, though, is there could very well be a 7950 XTX. because that would be internally, that would be the KXTX. Hey Marcelo, I didn't even notice you commented before Psycho. There's no way to auto this. Just gonna skip past all the dialogue. Listen in on Tamila's conversation. Where is... Okay.
You know what I mean.
Wait, why did I have like a... Gepard, I want to ask something about the security bug. Oh, do we need to do cybersecurity or something? Is this going to be all about cybersecurity? We received a report recently saying a vehicle fired a chainsaw into the Klipoth Ford and shattered a window. They think it's an attack. Have you heard any news about this? I have no idea. But those rumors about those other RDNA 3 cards, they could actually be true. They could actually be true. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then the 4060 Ti is natural progression. So NVIDIA is actually refreshing their lineup as expected at this point. These type of games, it's so easy to tell who is a generic NPC and who's not based off of their clothing. Not just the clothing though, also like the face. So is anybody like watching the stream thinking that they're gonna upgrade their computer this year? Or are they just gonna say, I'm just gonna wait? Wait, where am I going? I know a couple of my viewers are on Zen 3 and or Intel 10th gen. That seems to be the most common computers that I've seen in the chat recently. Like usually when I ask somebody what they have, they either have a Comet Lake, or some people have a Coffee Lake, and then others have like a Zen 2 or a Zen 3. Not a whole lot of people still on Zen 1 or anything older than like 9th gen Intel, but they're still out there. You have to build one from scratch. The prices aren't looking good here. Yeah, the prices in Brazil are always like, what? So out of all the processors right now, which one do you think is the lowest price per core count? And when I say core count, I mean like, you know, actual big cores, not little cores. That's why Intel's 12 and 13 are kind of hard to categorize. I'm still waiting to hear news of Intel making a server chip that is all E-cores, like literally just E-cores, no performance cores at all, just all E-cores. Because AMD's going to release Bergamo. Bergamo is going to be what they call Zen 4C, but the C stands for cloud, so it's going to be like a cloud. It's meant for cloud providers, for web scale customers, people like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure. Those guys are who the Bergamo CPU from AMD is meant for, not like people who need high performance. So like game streaming, for example. And when I say game streaming, I'm not talking about Twitch. I'm talking about Well, it could be. It could be video encoding, but video encoding using the CPU would probably be better on Bergamo. But I'm talking more like virtualization and like NVIDIA Grid, like the Epic CPUs that have the big cores in them, like the Genoa. Those would be the ones to be paired up with the NVIDIA Enterprise GPUs. And of course, AMD, the MI Instinct ones as well. You bought the 7950X and 7900 XTX in February. No more upgrades this year for me. Yeah, I have no reason to upgrade either. The Ryzen, I'm basically on the exact same machine. Okay, so Psycho, do you also have the Gigabyte Aorus Master? Do we have the exact same motherboard, or do you have the Aorus Elite? Or do you have something else completely? Because if you have the Aorus Master, then literally your PC is the exact same PC that I'm streaming on right now. So this is a 7950X with a 7900 XTX on a Gigabyte Aorus Master. The Ryzen 7 7700 is 1889 right now, which is roughly 383 with the included cooler, I think is. Yeah, for Brazil pricing, that one does actually sound good because it's under $400 US and you still get the box cooler. Yeah, those non-X parts, I have seen. So every time I check like Microsoft inventory levels for the local store, those ones, like the non-X AMD ones, those sell out a lot, especially the 7900 non-X. You actually have the Strix E-E. Micro Center was out of this. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Strix is good. It has all the things that you'll need. You can add Thunderbolt to it. The only challenge with the Strix is, for some reason, Asus. From what I know about Thunderbolt, Asus uses a different connector. Like, if you have a Gigabyte motherboard and you have an ASRock motherboard, if you want to add Thunderbolt to those motherboards, technically, now I haven't tested this, so I don't know if this will work 100%, but from what I can tell, ASRock and Gigabyte use the exact same 5-pin control plane cable for the Thunderbolt add-in card. So, in theory, if you have an ASRock motherboard, you could install the Gigabyte Thunderbolt card and enable Thunderbolt on the ASRock motherboard. Likewise, if you have a Gigabyte board, you could install an ASRock Thunderbolt card and it should work. Unless there's some kind of firmware handshake that's proprietary, that Gigabyte or ASRock use specifically to lock it down so you can't use it in another vendor's motherboard. Unless they're doing something like that, which would be pretty lame, because, I mean, they shouldn't do that, because if it's the same connector, you're still giving them money to buy the Thunderbolt cards. It's like, why should they force you to... Why should they make it only work in their motherboard? But Asus is notorious for doing that, though. What Asus will do is they will make their own proprietary connector, which has more than 5 pins. I think it's more like 12 pins or 9 pins or some higher pin count number. So that way, you can't use an Asus Thunderbolt card with another vendor's motherboard. And likewise, you can only use their... Well, yeah. So basically, you're locked into the Asus ecosystem if you buy their add-in card. So they're notorious for doing that. And I don't really like that, because the other problem, too, is it's very hard to find the Asus Thunderbolt cards. In general, you would think that it's easier to find Asus stuff over the others. But when Asus... It depends on what it is. Asus makes a lot of networking equipment. So, like, if you wanted to buy a PCIe Wi-Fi add-in card, for example, or a 10 gigabit interface card, network interface card, Asus usually is fine. Like, they usually don't have... It's not really a hard time... You don't really have a hard time finding one of those. But Thunderbolt, for some reason, I don't know. It's, like, really hard. At least in the US, it's really hard. Even, like, on Amazon, you can't find them, usually. They're always out of stock. Or you're having to buy them from someone that's going to have to ship them over from China or somewhere. So... weird.
Want to know more about the after-school classes?
But other than that, Strix is good. I just... The only reason why I don't like Asus these days is because... Not because of the whole fiasco with the CPUs being overvolted on the SoC. I know that's like a big topic recently. But that's not the reason. The reason is because I think that Asus is the main culprit when it comes to raising the price of motherboards over the last couple of generations. Like, they're the ones that usually raise the ceiling. So whereas Nvidia has been raising the ceiling on GPUs over the years, Asus has been raising the price on motherboards over the years. Because I don't think we would be at the prices that we're at today if it wasn't for Asus bumping the price in the previous generations. And what's funny is MSI and Gigabyte and ASRock, they'll just follow suit because, you know, they want to make more money too. It's the same thing with AMD. Nvidia bumps the price up. AMD just like, well, I don't know. AMD at the high end hasn't actually changed their price, but AMD has increased their price ever so slightly at the middle of the market. If you look at it, we did an analysis of this last week, and that was surprising to me to learn that AMD's prices from like RDNA 1 to RDNA 2, and then like well, it's hard to equate looking at GCN and RDNA, but we'll say like from AMD's 5000 series CPU, or not CPUs, GPUs to like RX 6000, they did actually go up in the middle. Like the 700 series ones went up, or like the 6700 XT. That had a higher price or actually no, did it? Yeah, yes, based off of the die size it did. Because remember, I'm looking at the die size. So the 6700 XT, that's a 192-bit bus. That's smaller than a 5700 XT. 5700 XT would be more like 6800. I have to go back and look at the shader counts. The 6900 XT and the 5700 XT have a very good combo that I got. Oh, the 5700X. Considering the price was only 3. For that, and I sold my 3070 Ti for 30. When did you sell the 3070 Ti? How long ago was that? I was under the assumption that you still had one. Wow, all of that, and we are almost there. So if I really want to push for this, I have to do quests. Let's just do this one, I guess. Actually, no, let's not do that one. A few days ago. No.
Upgrade configured.
Is that what you were talking about? Like, because I noticed you and 2 others were in the Discord in one of the voice channels a lot last week.
Time to go.
Now you have all the 16 gigabyte GPUs. Oh yeah, that's right, you do.
How
Yeah.
am I gonna get that time?
You've got the 16 gigabyte AMD one, the 16 gigabyte Intel one, the 16 gigabyte Nvidia one. Well, that's good because now you can compare the differences with the like the dashboard, like Radeon settings versus Nvidia control panel versus Intel. Because, you know, I did a video about that. And Nvidia, the problem with Nvidia is you basically have to have GeForce Experience if you want to get feature parity with Radeon settings, which is kind of annoying. I haven't used GeForce Experience since the GTX 970 days. So, like, for instance, last fall, when I was using the 3090 Ti as my main GPU, it was kind of annoying that I couldn't record gameplay, I couldn't do all that stuff. I didn't have access to any of it. Because I refused to... what's the best way to do this? I guess we'll go this way. No, this is gonna be fail. I'll have to do it again. I think we need to go this way. No, that's fail also. You don't use GeForce Experience? Yeah, see, neither do I. Well, see, the thing is, the reason why for me it's not a huge deal breaker to be on NVIDIA without GeForce Experience is because you can still do everything. Like, for what I do, technically, if Radeon's settings was also just as, like, lacking as NVIDIA's control panel, someone like me wouldn't be affected by that because I would use OBS to do all the things that I could do in Radeon settings. Meaning that basically defeats the entire purpose of having GFE. So I don't need GFE because I use OBS. And likewise, technically, Radeon settings has all that stuff in there, but I don't actually need to use any of it. I could, but I don't need to because it's all in OBS. So, and it's been like that for years. See, because the thing is, whenever I used to record gameplay footage, back in the day, like if you go way back, AMD used to not have, like there was a small point in time where NVIDIA had Shadowplay and AMD did not have Relive. They added Relive like a few months after Shadowplay. In that window, Shadowplay meant nothing to me because I never used Shadowplay ever. Like I would always just use XSplit or OBS to record gameplay regardless of what GPU I had. So that's the reason why it's like, yeah, it's cool to have all those features in the driver dashboard, but it's like, well, I'm not actually using them. But you know, like other people could benefit from that. Do you still play Car 5 Vanguard? You mean Vanguard 0 or just the physical card game? So, well, so I guess I'll comment on that because I know there's probably some viewers that probably pop in on occasion, but they don't see Vanguard content. The physical card game. Okay, so, Zero's gonna die? What's gonna happen to Zero? I logged into Zero like a few months ago. Like back in February or January, or it was a long time back. It was back when they did all this welcome back stuff for me, all the free packs. Oh, it's gonna shut down? It's literally gonna shut down? Is it gonna shut down? Is the Japanese version going to shut down too? Zero is gonna die. Man. What about all the people who spent money to, like, open packs? Both servers? Why? What's the reason why it's gonna die? Is it just no one's playing it anymore? You know what? I think I have to go this way, actually. No more content to put out. What? They're just gonna end the game and just shut down the server, and all those people that spent all that money on the game just... That's it? They're just SOL? Zero is already at the end of G. I thought they were gonna do, Overdress. I thought they were gonna go from G to Overdress. They're not doing that? Man, that is lame. That means people who spent like a ton of money on pulling cards from packs virtually basically just lost all their money. They just literally all of it's just gonna vanish into nothing. That sounds terrible. I like how there's a random toilet there. It's the fancy toilet too. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I've already talked to the toilet. I know what it's gonna do. It's gonna teleport me. I've already done that. I guess we can do it again. This game has a lot of like random Easter eggs in it that are actually really cool. It's a common household item. There's a button with a warning posted beside it. Our department is not responsible for any consequences suffered by those who sit down and press flush without permission. Reduced to atoms. Man. That means people who wailed on Vanguard Zero, like, are completely screwed. That's terrible. They're just ending the game. That was the only... Okay. I don't play a lot of gacha games. But that was the first gacha game that I ever played. I literally... Vanguard Zero is the game that introduced me to the gacha genre. Prior to Vanguard Zero, I had never played any gacha game ever. And the other thing, too, is Vanguard Zero is the only mobile game that I actually installed on my smartphone. To this day, it's still installed on the phone. It's literally the only mobile game that I have ever played. Technically, Genshin Impact is a mobile game, but I've never installed Genshin Impact on my phone. Even till now. The only time I ever have played Genshin Impact is on the PC or on the PlayStation. That's it. I've never played Genshin on the phone, and I never will. Likewise, with this game, Honkai Star Rail, I will only ever play this game on the PC, and eventually when it comes out on the PlayStation 5, I'll play it on that too. But I'm never going to install this game on my phone. Do you still have all the PSPs? It's your most... Yeah, I still have all of them. The only... So, I was telling... Someone else asked that question, like, in one of the previous live streams. So, the battery on the PSP 2000, like, it swelled up, so I had to replace it. But other than that, everything else is still good. Like, the 1000... So, the 1000's original battery also is starting to swell, but the 1000 has a newer battery that I purchased years ago. It's a higher capacity. It's like a 22 milliamp hour battery, whereas the original one was an 1800 milliamp hour. So, but the 1000 is still good. The 2000 is still good. I had to replace the battery. The battery that I replaced it with it's a non-OEM. It's like some random like battery from China or something. It's in the console. I can't get the battery out. It's literally stuck in the console. I guess I could pry it out with like a screwdriver or something, but it's stuck in there really good. And then the 3000 still has the same original battery. And the PSP Go also, well, that has an internal battery. So, but yeah, they all still work. All the games and stuff. I think one of them had a memory card die. It was one of those like dual micro SD cards that go in the adapter. I'll never do that again. That was dumb, because if that little plastic adapter breaks, that's pretty much it. Wait a minute, what happened here? Wait a minute, that toilet teleported me to somebody's... Have you chatted with the Woobabu? Oh wait, this is the kid that asks me about Woobabu. I thought that this was gonna take me somewhere else, but apparently the toilet's over here now. Okay. But yeah, I still have all the PSPs. You could do a 2023 remake.
The sanctuary is but a vision.
There's actually I actually did 2 PSP videos. There's the really old PSP video that has like, I don't even know how many millions of views it has, but I have that one, and then there's also the newer PSP video from like 2013, 14, somewhere in there. That one has a lot of views too. That one was supposed to be the remake, so I guess I could do a remaster of the remake. Yeah, I'm surprised how that video got so many views. The old PSP video, the one with the terrible audio quality from 2011. That was literally recorded on that video was recorded on a RCA camcorder, like a really cheap it looked like one of those old flip video camcorder things. After I made that video, that was when I realized I need to get a better camera. And to this day, that video has a terrible video quality. I don't even know if it's, I think it's 480p. That video is a 480p video from 2011. That video, even though I invested in a better camera, better everything, that old video with terrible audio quality and terrible video quality still has the most views of all time on the channel. The audio takes you back for your 2000s crispness. Maybe I will have to remake that video. Do you think it would get a lot of views? In 2023, do you think there's still a lot of people that are searching for info on PSP? Like, PSP has been end of life, end of support from Sony for nearly a decade. Well, okay, maybe it is even a decade, because Vita, PS Vita was literally 10 years ago. Vita was new a decade ago. That means PSP was probably end of life like 20, either 10 years ago, or maybe 2012, or maybe 2014. At least internationally. Maybe Japan kept making them for the local Japanese market for a while. It's still a legendary console for the homebrew scene. It was cool back in the day, but by today's standards, it just doesn't have the horsepower. The processor is just way too old. You know what's funny? In that video, I accidentally said 32 gigabytes of RAM for the PSP 1000, and I got so many comments like making fun of that one-liner and taking it out of context, when obviously I meant 32 megabytes of RAM, because I was comparing the 1000 with the 2000 and the others, because the 2000, the 3000, and the Go, they all have 64 megabytes of RAM. The 1000 has 32 megabytes of RAM. The 1000 also has a screen that has the most ghosting. Like, it has the worst response time on the screen. But for some reason, I still like the 1000 the most. Out of all 4 of the PSPs that I have, the 1000 has always been my favorite. Because it just, the way it's got the right amount of weight for a handheld. It just feels the best to hold in the hands. Like, its weight is perfect. It has like matte finish on the back, so it's easier to grip than the piano shiny fingerprint magnet on the 2000, 3000. And then the Go is just too small. The Go is for like a 5-year-old kindergartner. Like, literally, the Go, I don't know, the Go was the most uncomfortable one to use, that I almost never used the Go when on the go. Like, when I would use the PSP Go, I would connect it to the docking station. It came with a really, well, it had a really fancy optional docking station, which I did do a video about on the channel years ago. And anytime I would use the PSP Go, I would use it with a TV. I'd literally use it like a Nintendo Switch that's docked. That's the only way I ever use the Go. And then if I was on the go, I would use the 1000. Now, how counterintuitive does that sound? The Go is the lightest one, and it literally has the word Go in the name, yet I never used it on the Go. Ever. Like, and the one that is the fattest, heaviest one, the 1000, the OG, if you drop it, it could crack and break because it was so heavy. That thing is the only one that I ever actually would use when on the go. Because the other ones just felt too, like, skinny and flimsy to hold. Like, now I guess I'd be used to them because phones have gotten kind of, not as thick as a PSP 2000, but, you know, phones have gotten larger and larger over the years. My phone is probably almost as tall or as long as a PSP 2000 or PSP 3000. Those two are pretty much the same size. So, but I guess going back to Too Many Ships question, do I still play Cardfight Vanguard? So I haven't played the actual card game in years. I wanted to get into Overdress. I bought like two of the trial decks, but then never really got into it because the problem with Overdress was I wanted to go to Overdress, but Vanguard Zero came out, and then when I started playing Vanguard Zero, all of my efforts in Cardfight Vanguard went into Vanguard Zero. So I stopped playing the physical card game. I stopped collecting the cards, everything. Like, all that stuff died when I started playing Vanguard Zero. And then Vanguard Zero had a slow and painful death by the hands of Genshin Impact. Talking about phones, do you remember the Xperia Play? Oh, yeah, the PlayStation phone. I still call that thing the PlayStation phone. I kind of wanted to get one of those, but I ended up just getting a, what was it, like a Samsung Galaxy S5, or maybe it was the old Droid, the Droid X. I forget when the PSP phone or the Xperia Play was a thing. Sony's actually coming out with a new phone, though, and I'm actually kind of interested in it. Like, there's a new one. Let me see if I can find the article. There was an article on WCCF Tech about it. Let me see if I can find the article. Now they're showing iPhone 15 Pro. Okay, why can I never find their articles? They had too many constantly. Mobile. There it is. So this one. Alright, so this article.
But the real me is better.
Sony Xperia 1V? Xperia 1.5 or 1V, I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced, is finally here with a headphone jack, micro SD card slot, cinema-like video quality, and impressive cameras. So this has Zeiss lens cameras. So I have had the same phone since 2017. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's still good. And I was looking at this, I'm like, okay, this one kind of has me interested now.
Not bad.
So it has a really nice camera. It looks nice. It's launching in June, but then when I saw the price, I was like, oh man, this thing has the same price as like a 4080 Ti. This is like a 4080 Ti. Or like a custom Strix. Well, I think the Strix 4080 is $1,500. But this thing is like, you know, this is basically an NVIDIA graphics card in terms of how it's priced. But the thing is,
Not bad.
you can do so much more with this phone than an NVIDIA graphics card. So it's like, I don't know. This is just too much money. Like the last time I bought a phone, when I bought the OnePlus 5, which is what I'm using currently since 2017. I bought it in 2017, and I think I paid like $500 or $400 or $450 for that phone. It was somewhere in that range, from $400 to $500 back in the day. So, and I have not kept up with phones for so long. When I saw the price of this thing, I was like, oh no, I think I'm good. I'm gonna stay on my old phone.
But the real news better.
Yeah, we'd have to see, because this thing... See, the thing is, I don't know what phones are supposed to be priced at. I saw this, and I'm like, that's the price of a 4080 Ti. And I'm like, are all phones like this? Because I remember when the iPhone X came out as the first $1,000 phone, and I remember that. I don't know what else was the equivalent to that at the time. So now that it's been years since the iPhone X, I figured, oh, because of inflation and because of all the trends of increasing the price of electronics everywhere, maybe $1,400 is the normal price. See, that's what happens when you're out of the market for so long. You see the price of something and you're like, that is way too much money, but then you start thinking, you start rationalizing, is that an okay price? Like, I don't even know what the reference point is. So you're saying over $1,000 for a phone is rough? Yeah, that's too much. So for me, I basically almost wanted to get this phone until I saw the price. When I saw that, I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing's wrong with my phone. My phone still looks brand new. And 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. It's aged well. So I'm probably going to do nothing. I'm probably just going to continue using the same old phone all the way into a year from now. But this one's good. This has like 12 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 6.5 inch 4K, 120. I don't know why we need 4K on a phone. Like, 4K on a phone, to me, sounds retarded. I'm just gonna say it's retarded. 4K on a 6.5 inch screen is retarded. 120 hertz OLED. This should be 1080p. Make this 1080p. Because if they make it 1080p, it's gonna have way better battery life. Like at 1080p resolution, this OLED 120 hertz can last for like 3 days without being charged. Unless you're playing Vanguard Zero on it or something the whole time. What would I do with it? I just replaced my phone. I mean, but I would probably try to use it for video because the camera can shoot in 4K. I remember reading the specs on the camera. And remember what I said before, I don't have a 4K camera. So I could technically use this for making like YouTube videos. Be kind of hilarious using this instead of my mirrorless camera for YouTube videos. But it can shoot in 4K. 256 gigs of storage, but you can also throw a micro SD card on there. See, what I would do is if I had this phone and if I was going to use it to record videos for the channel, I would install like a 512 gigabyte micro SD card or a 1 terabyte, assuming they have such a thing. I basically get a really big micro SD card, install it in here, and use that for storage for all the videos. And then I would like move them onto the PC and do all the DaVinci Resolve editing on them. So I would use something like this. Yeah, so. But because it's that much money, I'm probably not going to buy it. There's like a 99% chance that I will not buy this phone because of that price. Oh, you can change the resolution. Well, the thing is, 4K resolution is going to be fine because they'll just make the icons so big that it completely defeats the purpose of having a 4K screen in the first place. So that's the reason why it's like, it doesn't really matter, but it's just a marketing gimmick. You can't benefit from 4K at that small size. Maybe for like if you wanted to bolt on a VR, one of those like Google VR things on there, then maybe that's what it's for. That's probably what it's for. It's probably for like a VR, you know, those one of those little mod things you put the VR on there and then you get VR using your phone. I think that's what the 4K is for, because then it actually would make sense. Now that I think about it, but for everyday phone use, total overkill, just a marketing gimmick, completely useless. It's dynamic actually. Well, think about how much wasted bandwidth over a wireless, like an LTE network. This, if you stream 4K video over your phone, your mobile phone provider's network, that's going to eat up all the data. Anybody that has a data cap on their mobile, they're just basically going to burn up that cap within like an hour, and they're going to be stuck on like 3G speeds because they've oversubscribed. So that's why it's useless. It's so useless on a phone like this. Only for VR, then it makes sense. But other than that, completely useless. Alright, what was I gonna do here, if anything? I think I'm actually kind of done. Oh, I gotta do the assignments. I gotta resend these guys to get the stuff. How many of these do I have? 453. See, I have like way less of these for some reason. Oh, I could try doing level 39 on Nameless. Okay. I could try doing what do they call it? Herda's thing. This thing. No, I need to do Simulated Universe. World 4 is unlocked. Yeah, we gotta do this. I need to get this thing. So last time I finally managed to clear World 3, so now we're going to try World 4, which technically I should be able to do because the recommended team level is 50, and my team level is level 50. And if you succeed, you get a copy of Herda. So we're probably going to try doing this. I just realized something though. I haven't used up all my points. Let's get some more of these. Let's do like 2 more. Oh, get welt. Welt is my favorite. Just watch. He says the most hilarious dialogue. Let's see what he says. He said, "Yo."
This ends here.
This ends here is what this guy said.
I've no interest in conflict.
Man, I want to see Welt do his ult so badly. Hut.
This ends here.
What? That thing died? I didn't even drop it to 0. I wanted to see Welt do his ult. Okay, maybe the next one. We're gonna do the rest on this one. We're gonna do 6 waves. Bring Welt. This time we'll use this guy. This Welt. And then same group. Yeah, so I don't have him. I don't actually have him. I'm borrowing him from another player. So this is someone else's, well, that's the cool thing about this game. What I really like about this game is, yes, it's a gacha game, but if you don't have a character that you want, you can still play as that character, provided you can find another player that had pulled that character, then you can actually use the character. And the nice thing is every time you do that, the other player gets 2,000 in-game gold or whatever it's called in this game. I was gonna say gil, but that's like Final Fantasy currency, so.
Stand down.
He said stand down.
This ends here.
This ends here.
Is that all?
I should have done this.
Will forged in ice.
I want to see him do his ult. I'm gonna slow it down when Welt does his ult. Right now I have the battle system on 2x speed.
Fighting is meaningless.
Oh, I didn't want him to attack that guy. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. Alright, he's gonna get to do it after his next turn.
This ends here.
Watch. Okay, check this out.
No interest
Slow
in
it down.
conflict.
You know nothing of the weight behind this power. Witness the stars shatter before you. Survive or be destroyed. There is no other choice.
Okay, that actually sounded cooler on the 2x speed. Because on the 2x speed, he skips the dialogue where he says, witness the star's power. He literally says, survive or be destroyed. There's no other choice. And he does the glasses. He does the anime glasses thing. I'm like, that is so awesome on so many levels. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. Too Many Ships was talking about Vanguard earlier. When I saw what Welt does, he literally equals Link Joker. This dude is a Link Joker. 100%. His thing where he like gets them with this yellow stuff around them, that is literally the lock mechanic from Vanguard. They literally stole the lock mechanic from Vanguard with the imaginary feature. The imprison, they call it imprison. Those enemies right now with the yellow thing going around them, they are imprisoned. They are basically locked. That is so Link Joker. And if you look at all of his attacks, they're all gravity-based attacks. His ult is literally him opening up a black hole and absorbing them into the black hole. Now, if that's not Link Joker, then I don't know what's Link Joker.
Calm your body and mind. The truth of life and death, revealed in this sanctuary, is but a vision.
This guy's got some like Ghost of Tsushima themes going on.
The time is now.
Seems you need to experience some hardship.
What? He said, seems you need to experience some hardship.
I won't go
I won't go easy
easy on
on you.
Time for a nap time.
Did you just say time for a snack? What? Time for a snack? Okay, check this out. We're gonna skip to Welt. We're gonna go 2x speed. How do I make this louder? I'm gonna make this louder for everybody. What was the value? It was like 15. Alright, we're gonna make this loud. Check this out. Check this out.
Don't hesitate.
You know nothing of the weight behind this power. Survive or be destroyed. There is no other choice.
That is so Link Joker. This dude is Link Joker. What? Survive or be destroyed. There's no other choice. Then he does the glasses thing. He turns around. He has his back to them, and he does the glasses thing as they're getting absorbed into a black hole. What? This is like the coolest character in the game. Hands down, coolest character in this game. He's the only imaginary character. He's a Link Joker character.
Time for some hardship.
Time for some hardship.
Naughty child. Nap time.
This ends here. A will forged in ice never falters.
The thing just straight up died. Oh, that was it. I wanted to do it again. Okay, I just realized something. I should technically be looking for the Ascension materials. Yeah, I should actually be fighting these things. This uses up 30 resin, so I guess I'll challenge this. Ooh, we can summon Welt again. We can summon Welt because the enemy's weak to imaginary. So I can use the same group. I'm gonna get rid of him. Let's try Herta. Time to twirl. Oh, wait.
That enemy certainly isn't friendly.
Check this out. Impair.
Stay.
What?
Move carefully.
They start the fight locked? That Impair is basically like a Glendios move. This game's music is, I don't know. I prefer Genshin Impact soundtrack to this game, but whoever Hoyoverse, I know Yupen Chang does the music for Genshin Impact, but I don't know who does the music for this game. All I can say is whoever Hoyoverse gets to do their music for their games really knows what they're doing. Because their games, they know how to build up hype just because of the soundtrack alone.
Time to twirl.
That guy fell down. He fell down.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
This big diamond. It's all yours.
I don't really know why Herta's here. Because, well, whatever. Time to twirl.
Time to twirl.
The truth of life and death is sanctuary.
Her time to twirl. I should change it to the Japanese version so you guys can see all the memes. So that we can get subjected to the kuru kuru.
Just in time. Just a little something. Think nothing of it.
How appropriate.
Let's begin.
How appropriate. Man, Welt's fighting style is the most anime fighting style of all the characters in
Past
this game.
victories don't guarantee
I guess
future ones.
Herta and Welt, those two. Wait a minute, for real? There was a treasure chest here the whole time? How did I not notice that? I only now noticed there was a treasure chest in this room? They're doing the near thing with all the weird like black screen with the dialogue. You know what this game lacks a... I just lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say. There was something that I realized that it's lacking. This is how you do sci-fi games, though. Like, this looks a lot like Star Citizen. I feel like whoever made this game played a whole bunch of other games and basically combined all these aspects of different games. Like Persona, there's even like Star Citizen stuff in here, which that's kind of weird. And then there's also things like throwback Easter eggs to other games like Bloodborne, And I guess there might be some other From Software games in here. There might also be some... There's references to, I think, Xenosaga? Xenogears? It's crazy. Talking about sci-fi. Have you played Deus Ex? I have Deus Ex Mankind Divided? I have one of them. Let me see. Should be under action somewhere. Okay, I have both. I have Deus Ex Human Revolution and Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I have both. I have never played them though. The only reason why I think one of them was from an AMD graphics card bundle, and the other one was because it was on Steam Fire Sale for like $5 or something. That's the only reason why I have them. I think they're pretty cool games. This game might actually have some stuff from that, but this game doesn't really have cyborgs though. I just realized when I fought that mini boss that I only fought him with 3 characters. Because I don't have wealth, somehow it took whoever the 4th character was out of the party. That was weird. So I need to add somebody back. Just put Gepard. See, this just feels so much like Star Citizen to me. Do you think I would like Deus Ex? Deus Ex is not a full-on shooter, right? Like I know Adam Jensen. Is the guy's name Adam Jensen or Adam Jetson? I forget the name, the main character's name. The guy with the cool, weird sunglasses. He's basically a cyborg. I know he's got like a cybernetic arm or cybernetic arms, and he's got these weird blades that come out of his elbows. I know that he has those.
When I was young.
Alright, so let's do another one of these. Yeah, it's someone Welt again. He's just too cool. He's just too cool for school. Someone was commenting that Welt's the only character that looks like he's over the age of 25. That's hilarious. It plays a bit like FPS, but you can do a whole non-lethal playthrough. The story's really good. So you can so basically you can play it like Metal Gear Solid. You can not kill anyone in the game. Because Metal Gear Solid's like that. That's what I liked about Metal Gear Solid.
Time for some hardship.
Oh, that's what this game is lacking. The one thing this game is lacking is when it says battle over, the character that does the final attack that kills the last enemy, they should have like a victory thing at the end. Like a small little like victory pose or something. Like Well could do like his glasses thing. Could knock people out or just sneak past them. I like games like that. Cause see, like these enemies, I can sneak past them. I don't have to fight them. I can sneak past enemies. Or if I aggro them, I literally don't have to fight them. I can just run past them. I like having the option to do that. You know, sometimes you want to battle them because you want to loot the stuff, so.
Time to twirl. Time to twirl.
The sanctuary is but a vision. Quick!
Time to twirl.
This game's got great automation.
How am I gonna get that time back?
See, this game has guns in it too.
Come on.
See, it's cool because they're ranged, so they can loot the stuff instantly. All right, am I out of the resin stuff? Okay, so now we can talk about the GPU thing, and then that's probably gonna be the stream's probably gonna be a short one. Let's see. You bring back up the article thing on the RTX. Oh, I was gonna ask, in Brazil, are the NVIDIA cards much easier to get than the AMD ones? Or are they about the same in terms of pricing and supply? Exit out of it. Alright, let me bring this back up. Alright, so there's one. We don't need the game up anymore, so we'll get out of here. Alright, so Sapphire's custom Radeon 7600 Pulse 8GB graphics card finally pictured, dual slot with 8-pin plug. Star Citizen, what's the deal with that game to make people fund it for more than a decade? I don't know. At this point, I really don't know if it's all just a big scam. But at least it's not going away. You know, what's worse? A game that has people fund it kind of like a GoFundMe style, or a game that you have to, you know, like pay money and then it just dies off because they turn the servers off. You know, like that can happen in a lot of MMOs. A lot of MMOs that don't exist anymore, they had subscription fees like on a monthly basis or 6-month basis or 3-month basis. And then the game died because the player base slowly became extinct. Or, well, not extinct, but the player base just shrank over and over again. And then what are they going to do? They're just going to have to cancel the server, close the servers down, and that's it. All that money's just down the drain. They're about the same. So the 4080 is becoming cheaper than the XTX when you compare the AIB. Yeah, because the thing is the 4080 is the one that can afford to come down because it starts higher to begin with. So in terms of discounting, that's the one that has more room to go down. There's also a higher supply of it. The Asus TUF is still 1200 on Newegg right now. What is the price of the 4080 and the 7900 XTX in Brazil? Watch it be like $1,300 for an XTX and 1500 or 1600 for well, maybe not 1600, but like 1500 something for a 4080. That's my guess. So Sapphire's custom Radeon 7900. So we finally have well, I don't, is that real? Okay. That looks real. This looks real. This one was literally someone took an RDNA 2 card and they literally just like threw it on here. This one pictured here is probably a 6700 XT or a 6700 non-XT, or maybe a 6600 XT is what this is right here. But this one's got a new design. The shroud is a little bit different. I like that it has 3 display ports and a single HDMI. I don't like when Sapphire puts dual HDMI and dual display port. I would much rather have triple display port. So it's good that they've done that. This one is probably... Okay, single 8-pin though. That's pretty good. Single 8-pin. Why is this written like at an angle like that? So here's the leaked lineup. Or, okay, this is not the leaked. Well, yeah, this is kind of the leaked lineup, but I don't think it's really that leaked. So this card, the 70... Why are there 2 of them? I think this is a typo. I think they meant to say 7600 non-XT. So it's 2048. I thought it was going to be 2043. Or 2334 or something. Yeah, what's interesting here is the shader counts on these are like way, well, obviously these we already know. This is cut down by, let me see. So this is like 800 less. This one is this is a wider gap. There's a wider gap between the 7900 XT and the 7900 XTX in terms of the stream processors. CUs. Isn't that what the what was it called? Didn't we find hold on. Here it is. 70 CUs on this one. Okay, here's the thing about this. This is a rumor, so whereas this is actually like a real slide. So this one says 70 CUs, 45 teraflops. I'm gonna guess that the consumer version of this is going to be 70 CUs, 50 teraflops, and like closer to 300 watts or like 290 watts, somewhere around there is what I think this is going to end up being on the consumer side. And 16 gigabytes of VRAM. The 6800 non-XT was 60 CUs. But see, the thing is, we already know that this thing exists because this is a legitimate real slide from AMD. Like, this looks legit real. This looks super real, this leak. And I really think that the 7800 XT is going to be this exact same chip. So, whereas this, whatever's listed here, this is all rumor. Like, this is a rumor, and this is a rumor. So... The only thing is this doesn't say how many stream processors it has on the official slide. They did a very good job hiding. Well, hold on. Maybe it's in here. Such configuration, 4480 stream. This is it, guys. This has got to be it. 4480. 4480 compares well with 5376. 4480 is more in line with the spacing between this and this. 64 stream processors. Oh, that's how you're doing the calculation. Okay, 64. Okay, it's got to be 4480. The 7800 XT is going to be 4480. It's not, this is wrong. The whatever they've written here, that's wrong. This might be a 7700 XT. Or no, this might be a 7800. Well, it seems like it's pretty, it's cut down quite a bit though. Right, we're talking like a 600 shader difference roughly. Whereas this is like, what? Over 1,000. Yeah, this is, well, I think it's going to be 4480. 3840 is probably going to be like a 7800 non-XT or a 7700 XT. Although, who knows? Why is that ad on the left on Spanish? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's in Spanish. Rebel Sus, what is this? I don't know what this is. It says Rebel Sus es una marca. It is a market registrada de no. Oh, this is the country? Norway? Is this talking about like Norway or something? Is it saying that it's a registered trademark of Norway? Or Nordisk? Nordisk is the company. Norway. Novo Nordisk todos los, so all the direction or all the trademarks are reserved? Derechos, I don't know what that is. This probably like trademarks. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know why this is in Spanish. I don't know why I'm seeing this ad actually. Like I legitimately do not know why that's showing up there. That's pretty hilarious. Why is that ad in Spanish? let's just get that out of here. And there's like a fiber internet one, fiber speeds, and there's like a one that won't even load. And there's like a random Twitter thing here. Well, anyway, the point is, I think it's gonna be 4480. It has to be 4480 because this is a legitimate slide. So to me, I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be 70 CUs and 4480 that's gonna be the 7800 XT, and that's still less than a 7900 XT because a 7900 XT is 5,376 stream processors. So that's why it makes sense to me. Because think about it, you can't have a huge gap between these two. Like, this is too big of a gap. Because remember what we determined last time? The 7900 XT was just priced too high from the start. It should have been $800. It should have been $799, not $899. So if we assume the corrected market MSRP of the 7900 XT is $800, that means that the 7800 XT would be like $650 or $150 less. Anywhere from $200 to $150 less. So at most, the 7800 XT could cost $700, but I think that's going to be too much. So I really think that AMD is going to price it at $649, which basically means it would have the exact same price as a 6800 XT when that was new. It'll carry the exact same MSRP as the previous generation. So no, meaning AMD is not raising the price over the previous generation. They're basically keeping the exact same prices. Because they did this with the Ryzen, the Zen 4 CPUs didn't raise the price. So I don't expect the GPUs to raise the price either. If they want to be really aggressive, they could price the 7800 XT at $600, basically matching a 4070. I don't know if they'll do that though. I saw a couple of comments in my video where I basically explained that we can derive the specifications for the 7800 XT from this article talking about the professional card. And when I said $649, a lot of people said that if it's priced at $649, it's going to be DOA because it's too much money. Well, nothing's stopping people from buying the 4070 at $600 or more if they're buying an AIB. So, realistically, I expect this card to be faster than that card. The 7800 XT is going to be a rival for the 4070 Ti. The 4070 Ti is this card's rival. So that stands to reason. If the 4070 Ti is $800 and AMD rivals them at $650, well, there you go. That's your justification for pricing it like that. What's your opinion on the 7600 if they really release at $249? Okay, that brings us to this article. So where's that 249? Do we know is that actually known or is that a guess? So the 7600 could actually be in that price range. And the way you find out is you literally go and look at the price of the 6600. This is 128-bit, 8 gigabytes of memory, 64 ROPs. So what are they saying this thing is? 128-bit, 320 gigabyte bandwidth, X8. So it's basically the same. Navi 23XL, so that one's going to be 33. Is that Navi 33? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what's the price of this card? $329. So I think this will probably be $300. I don't think it's going to be $249. No. Whoever's saying that is being overly optimistic. This is going to be a $299 graphics card. I mean, if it's $249, then expect all the AIBs to sell it for $300. And they're just going to take that extra margin for themselves. So, but literally they're saying this. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's going to be more like that. $299. I think it's going to be pretty good because let's think about this. Where would this fall in the product stack? This thing would be... It's going to be like this card. No, it's going to be... It's going to be kind of like this card, if I had to guess, the performance level. Or maybe a 6600 non-XT. Yeah, but is there a lot of inventory for the 6700 though? But you're right though, the 6700 has more RAM. I think it's going to be 300 though. See, the reason why AMD's doing this is because the price of, or the inventory of these is becoming lower. It's becoming hard to find these cards. So they're still around. But remember what I told you guys earlier? The only reason why AMD is... The only time a graphics card vendor is going to release the next generation is when the threshold of their existing previous generation falls below a certain threshold. Once they hit that threshold, that's essentially their quota. Once they meet their quota of units sold of that generation of product, then they're confident enough that they can launch the newer one and not worry about the older one cannibalizing sales of the newer one and vice versa. And oftentimes the worry is more so that they're not going to be able to sell their old ones because when they put the new one out there, everyone's just going to ignore the previous generation and just buy the newer one. So that's the reason why Nvidia didn't release the 4070 Ti until 3080 Ti, which is essentially the same thing in terms of performance, dropped or basically sold out or dropped below a certain threshold. Then they released 4070 Ti. And the same thing with the 4070. The 4070, they waited for all those old 30 series cards in that mid-range to go away or get to a certain threshold, and then they go ahead and launch the new generation. So super chat from Googly. Just got a super chat. It should show up on stream. So I love The Legend of Zelda. Oh, there it goes. I love The Legend of Zelda, but Tears of Kingdom graphics on Switch just sucks. Coming from 7950X3D and RTX 4090, how can they release such graphics in 2023? Not sure why everyone is giving it 10 out of 10. Oh, the reviews for that are out now? Let me go look at that real quick. Let's go find that game. The Legend of Zelda. Oh, wow. It's out tomorrow. The game is out tomorrow. So that means the reviews are out today. Everyone's giving it 10 out of 10. Oh, man. Hogwarts Legacy all of a sudden has competition for Game of the Year. So the reason why people are giving it 10 out of 10 is because the gameplay. It's all about the gameplay. Why do I still play Genshin Impact? Why am I playing Star Rail? The gameplay. The gameplay's good. The music's good. Like, the game's got great quality of life balances in terms of like how fluid it is, how engaging the story is, how interesting the characters are. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of Kingdom has the same thing. So this is the reason why like graphics doesn't mean everything. Graphics will never be the be-all, end-all. Just because a game has outstanding visuals doesn't mean it's going to be the best game. But I get what you're saying, though. You're basically, coming from high-fidelity graphics, high-end hardware that can provide that kind of experience, it's hard to go back and play games on the Switch. And that is the reason why, that's the exact same reason why I haven't been able to finish a Switch game in years. I still haven't finished Xenoblade Chronicles 3, let alone Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I still haven't finished that game either. So it's like my Switch backlog is huge. This one's just going to go right on the list. But, until there's a Switch 2, I'm not really going to visit these games. Oh, there were issues in the Discord? What happened? How do I make you a mod? Something happened in the Discord? Well, okay, I'll probably make you a mod. I I guess message me after the stream, I guess, because it's kind of weird to talk about issues in the Discord while on a live stream. It's kind of odd. Unless we want to talk about it, but I don't know, like the level. Oh, the level design is exactly the same as the last Zelda. Well, isn't it based in the same world though? Or is it all new? Like I haven't played the Zelda games in a long time. The last Zelda game I played was the what was it called? It was the one that was on the Nintendo Wii, and then it was also on the GameCube. It was in development for the GameCube for years. And it was the one where if you play it on the GameCube, Link is left-handed, so the shield is in his right hand, and the Master Sword is in his left hand on the GameCube. But if you play it on the Wii, because most people are right-handed, the Wii actually made Link use the sword in the right hand and the shield in the left hand, which is actually not the way Link normally wields his sword. So the GameCube one is actually more true to Link's actual character. So that was the last time I played a Zelda game. It was actually on the GameCube. So it's been a while. It's been a while. Haven't played one in a long time. Oh, it wasn't in the text chat. It was the voice chat and how people were getting invited. Okay. Because, so no one was, like, spamming, like, memes. Well, I see, like, a lot of random memes in there, but, okay, well, I'll probably have to, let me see. Can I just, like, click on you and make you... I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I right-clicked on your name. I don't see the option. You can build vehicles in the new Zelda game. So that regular members aren't... You mean aren't able to invite people? Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to change you to mod status. You should make the server so that regular members aren't able to... Yeah, that's what I thought. That's all I thought you meant. Yeah, and they shouldn't be able to just invite whoever they want. Like, that's not what this is supposed to be. Yeah, I need to, like, make a thing that shows, like, rules or something. We probably need to put some rules. Because the channel actually has more than 20 people now, so maybe we do need to actually put, like, a rules list. Yeah, just tell me how to make you a mod and I can do it. I just don't know how. Like, I right-click on your name in there and I don't see anything in there to change you to mod status. Yeah, because if you're using it regularly, because I'm not monitoring it all the time. So, but I noticed that there were people in the voice channel, one of the voice channels, the general one, there on multiple days last week in particular. I don't know, I haven't been monitoring it this week at all because I've been really busy this week. So that's the reason why I definitely wasn't monitoring it at all this week. But last week I noticed there were like 3 people in one of the voice channels. There was some discussion. I remember somebody was asking for advice on what GPU to buy, or, you know, there was like a deal for a 7900 XT, and there was the comparison was with a 6950 XT. But to answer super googly, like, just to close out that thought on that point, basically, graphics don't make the game. The game itself, the game as a whole, determines whether it's a 10 out of 10, not just graphics. That's what I'll say there. And it's not like Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, Tears of Kingdom. It's not like though that game has terrible graphics. It's just limited by the hardware, so it makes the best with what it has. All right, what is this? Tap on members, find the member you want. Oh, on the server settings page. Okay. How come roles? Do I have to create the role? Scroll down and tap on members. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, hold on, I see it. Oh, I think, do I have to define the role? Can't find the role. I think I need to define the role. Yeah, I don't even have a role, that's why. I need to define the mod role. Yeah, I need to figure out what specifically for this mod versus everyone, what I need to check as the, oh, be able to timeout members. Kick members, remove other members from the server. Kick members will be able to rejoin if they have another invite. Okay, ban. Basically, I give you like timeout ability, ban ability, kick ability. I guess I can give you invite the ability to invite others. Allows members to send. Yeah. What's the difference between this and everyone? Oh, I see. So everyone has all the, okay. So I need to turn all these on. Okay, so I'll just copy this one and then just add the other one. Manage messages, manage threads. Well, okay, I think I got it. Basically, the ability to ban, kick, timeout. Okay. And then... Okay, there we go. There. So you're now mod. There, you're mod. Do I have to make myself mod? or am I already... Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah. I need to change that one. Where's the everyone role, though? Oh, default permissions. Yeah, I'm going to change that. Allow members to invite people to the server. Yeah, I'm going to undo that one. Okay. So that's now disabled. So the create invite under membership permissions, allow members to invite new people to the server. That is now disabled for everyone except the mods. Okay, I just put myself in there too. I don't know if I needed to be in there, but I just put myself in there also. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. That means that the channel actually has gotten big enough now where we do actually need mods. So, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Because I honestly, I have not been monitoring the Discord all week at all. So, yeah. Yeah, I think we need to make some rules too, like a rules page, because I don't want it to be too restrictive. So, like people should be able to go in the voice channel and they like the general one, and they can talk about stuff that's not related to technology if they want. But I do want the posts in the text channels. I want those to be, you know, strictly for technology related articles if possible. Like the general one is there, and I know a lot of people are posting into that one specifically for whatever, like all the memes. I can see all the memes, like the SpongeBob memes are in there, the random, like the Batman memes are in there, these weird ones are also in there, like, yeah. So yeah, and I don't really know who some of these people are. Okay, Joey approves. So I can actually make Joey a mod too. But I don't think Joey... I can make you a mod if you want. Here, I'll just... There. Okay, Joey, you're a mod too. Even though you're not in there all the time, I went ahead and made you a mod also. And Marcelo, I guess... I don't know what your name is in the Discord. I mean, you don't have to be a mod if you don't want to. If you don't want to be one. But I know you guys are my regular viewers, so, and you've been around, you've been watching the channel for a long time, so that's why. And I know you guys are what I consider the responsible people, so I don't think that you guys would cause any problems. So good, you're good corporate citizens. Good corporate citizens of Discord. But yeah, so back on to the topic of the GPUs, just to close out the Radeon one, then we'll talk about the NVIDIA one. The reason why there's no 7800 XT right now is because there's too many 6950 XTs. This is the problem. There's still too many of these. Like if we do sold by Newegg, there's still a lot of ASRock and XFX ones. And there's still a lot of reference cards that pop up on AMD.com. Once these drop below a certain threshold, then AMD is going to announce the 7800 XT. Okay, I mean, if you don't want to be a mod, if you want to be a mod, I can make you a mod. It's not a big deal. But I know Met uses the Discord a lot, probably more than any of us. So yeah, definitely worthy of being a mod. Okay, let me see. You're okay, you're in there. Okay, you're a mod too. I don't know if you pay attention to the Discord. I know Met uses Discord a lot, so Met definitely needs to be a mod. But the rest of us, I personally don't really monitor it too much. So, yeah, good call out though on bringing that to my attention. Because I noticed a lot of like memes posted over the last couple of days, but I haven't really done anything. I would just see the notifications. Like someone posted something, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay. All right, so, but yeah, that's the reason why AMD's kind of in a weird spot. I guess they still have a lot of the larger RDNA 2 GPU dies to sell, and until they get below a certain threshold, they're not going to release the next generation. It's no different from NVIDIA. NVIDIA just sells way more than AMD's, and that's the reason why NVIDIA's been able to launch their mid-tier cards more frequently than AMD. Now, granted, it still took them a while to launch 4070, because 4070's been around since January. They just weren't able to launch it because there was too many 3070, 3070 Ti, 3080, 3080 Ti. Well, not really 3080 Ti, but there was a lot of like, 3080, 3090, some TIs, but mostly like 3070 Ti. There's just way too many of those. If we were to search that now, let's see how many of these show up. Sold by Newegg. See? Look, check this out. Newegg only has... These are open box and refurb, so I don't count these. So literally the only one is this... There's this one PNY way down here. And then there's these two. Zotac, Asus, and PNY. These are the only ones left. These are the little stragglers of 3070 Ti's left on Newegg. So that's the reason why NVIDIA is able to launch their cards, their mid-tier cards, sooner than AMD. It's just because AMD still has a higher backlog of cards that they need to push through the channel compared to NVIDIA. So once we see that play out, then they're going to replace them, obviously. Because if you want to sell product, you can't have stuff sitting on the shelf and then, then push the next best thing out into the market. You're basically shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. So it's natural economics. It's natural marketing 101. There's like nothing wrong with what they're doing. And then the other thing too is you want to sell, like the old saying, sell what's on the truck. Sell what's on the truck. You're not going to go and start selling like stuff that you don't have. You're not going to announce a new product and start building up hype for that product, because that's going to, again, slow down the sales of your current generation. So that's the reason why AMD is trying to keep this under wraps. Same thing with NVIDIA. And that's why everybody's wanting to find all the leaked info and get the details from there, because they don't want to announce anything until they are ready, until their inventory of the previous generation is low enough that they can actually do that. But see, with AMD, they're starting to get there. They only have 3 models on Newegg for the 6900 XT. So they're starting to drop low on these, at least the options, although they probably have some other ones that are back ordered that are going to restock. Why would you compare a 13700K to a 5950X? What computer do you have right now? Shoksa time? Shows a time? You're asking me if a processor from 2022 is faster than a processor from 2020. Oh, rendering performance? Well, I mean, what computer do you have right now? You're asking rendering performance. Where's the 59? This is Cinebench though. What I want to see is a more realistic one. Well, why do they not have like actual Corona render? Oh, you're doing Corona render? Is that on here? I think the 13, yeah, right here. So right here, 13700K is gonna be faster. See, look at that. It's like 10 seconds faster. 76.7 seconds versus 86 seconds. So I guess the thing that you need to keep in mind, and you still haven't answered my question. I asked you what computer do you have right now. You never answered my question. Because the reason why I'm asking is if you're on a 5950X today, and you're thinking if you should upgrade to a 13700K, my question then would be, is that 10 seconds of time saved worth it? That's what I would ask you. Because, I mean, you can buy a new motherboard and a new processor and carry over your DDR4 RAM. So you could save money by carrying over RAM from the 5950X PC. But I don't know if I would personally do that. They cost the same price. So the 13700K is newer, and in general, it's going to be faster in more things than just rendering. But why are you specifically looking at 13700K though? Like, why that processor in particular? I'm just asking because you're talking about rendering. 13700K would be good for rendering, but if you have the 5950X, will it be? So if you have a 5950X, I personally would not do anything. If all you're doing is rendering, if you're primarily doing Corona rendering and other forms of rendering, or even just like video editing and then rendering videos, I don't think you should do anything. I think you should wait until the next generation. And that applies to both Intel and AMD. Like if you have a 5950X today, I don't think you need to get the 13700K, nor do I think you should get the AM4 or the AM5 platform, the Zen 4, like the 7000 series. So basically, you should skip what's out right now. You don't have it, but you are going. Oh, you're going to build for Corona. So is there a specific budget? So I guess it sounds to me like you're looking at a certain price point. Because you're saying that the 5950X and the 13700K are the same price. So if that's the price point, then the 13700K is going to be the better one to get. But if all you're doing for rendering... So I'll say this. If both of them are the same price, the 13700K is going to be better. I'm surprised. I guess that makes sense for the 5950X to be discounted because it is kind of old now. So, but what computer do you have today? Like, what do you have today? Skylake, Haswell, something older, DDR3, FX 8350, Phenom, first gen Ryzen. You haven't answered my question. I asked you, what PC do you currently have? You don't have a 5950X, and you're trying to figure out if you should get that or a 13700K. Well, what do you have today? Nothing? A laptop? A really, really old computer? Oh, today you have a 12 Oh, what, you have a Z79. What? Why didn't you just start with a 13700K from the start? Why'd you build a PC with a 12400? So a couple things I'm going to say on this. So I don't know, maybe you got the wrong advice from someone else, but because, okay, the motherboard you have, I know that computer's new. I know that the computer you're using right now is new, because a Z790 motherboard only became available in October of last year, which means your computer is less than a year old. And the processor is from 2022, but it was probably, yeah, it was from 2022, because Alder Lake launched at the end of 2021, and the cheaper 12400 didn't come out until like sometime in the first quarter of 2022. So I don't know why you chose a 12400 to pair up with a Z790 motherboard instead of just getting the 13700K from day one. That doesn't make any sense. It was cheaper, and I didn't know that this is weaker for my tasks. Well, the 12400 doesn't have any E-cores, for one thing. It only has, what, 6 cores? It's literally 6. Does it have 12 threads? I think it does have 12 threads. So the answer is you basically have to get a 13700K, but I don't really know. Hold on. 12400 is down here. So 12400, for whatever tests that they used, the 12400 will take 180 seconds. The 13700K will take 76 seconds for a Corona renderer, for the exact same render. So I hate to break it to you, it's going to sound like I'm semi-trolling, but you should have never bought the 12400 from the start. Like, that's the mistake. Like, if you knew you were going to do renders, you should have bought the 13700K originally with that motherboard from day one. That's what you should have done. But anyway, that's in the past. It doesn't matter. So the easiest thing to do would be to do a socket upgrade to this. I'm surprised why you were considering the 50. Oh, I guess because it was the same price. But see, the thing is, with the 5950X, you would have had to buy a new motherboard. And that assumes that you bought DDR4. Oh, you said you have an MSI. Is that Z790A Pro? Is that a 790? Is this a DDR5 motherboard? This is a DDR5 motherboard. There's a DDR4 version. It's more expensive. Well, Joey, I think you're assuming that Showtime has access to a Micro Center. That might not be the case. So you shouldn't compare the Micro Center prices. Any thoughts on Gamers Nexus take on Asus? I saw a little bit of that video. I thought you said that you have a certain budget. Why are you now considering that one? Any thoughts on Gamers Nexus take on Asus? So here's the thing. So the motherboard manufacturers, they compete with each other, and they want you to buy their brand over the others. So occasionally they will try to do things that will give them a competitive advantage, whether or not that's playing around with voltages, applying higher than what's required voltages for stability reasons. Usually whenever they do this, they're not trying to kill your processor or your memory or the motherboard. Obviously, they don't want to do that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to guarantee a certain level of stability without having to do an insane amount of testing. So if they can run 1.3 volts through the SoC to ensure that you can do 6,000 mega transfers on your memory, or 6,400 or 6,200, whatever that upper limit ends up being, based off of the silicon lottery of the processor that you end up buying, they'll do it. They'll put 1.3 if they know that 95% of all processors can do 6,000 megahertz on the RAM at 1.3 volts, and they can probably do 6,200, 6,400 at that voltage. So they'll do it so they can claim that their motherboard supports 6,400 megahertz RAM, 66. I've seen that too on some motherboards. So that's the reason why they'll do that. The problem is the BIOS was somehow, through some kind of firmware bug, is what it looks like, it somehow can overshoot beyond 1.3. I've seen Buildzoid. Buildzoid was testing a Gigabyte Aorus Master. Buildzoid was literally testing the exact same motherboard that I am actually using right now. And he was seeing weird behavior where it would shoot above the, it would go up to like 1.45. Like he was seeing 1.45. He would put in 1.3, it would do 1.45. It would even do it when he would change the VDDQ on the memory, and he would leave the SoC voltage at auto. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of one of those things where, why is it doing that? Why is it overriding what I type in there? So that was the case of Gigabyte. Now, I haven't really looked up on the Asus ones. Now, Buildzoid did say that Asus, or he didn't say Asus specifically. He made reference to another brand. He said Gigabyte's now on the list of vendors like that other brand that does the same thing. So I don't know if he was referring to Asus or if he was referring to someone else, like ASRock. I assume that he meant Asus or ASRock. I don't think he was referring to MSI. I don't think MSI was in that. You need to undervolt the 13 to get power draw down and lower the temps. The only problem with doing that is if you do that, you are going to reduce the multi-thread performance on the processor. So if you undervolt, you are going to lose some power because you're going to reduce the delta of how long, well, not delta, the time of how long it's able to boost at the higher frequencies. So that's the only problem with doing the undervolt. You shorten the duration of the boost behavior by doing that. So it's like, I don't know. But anyway, so the thing is, Asus, like I said earlier, I chose to skip Asus this generation because they are the ones, Asus is the primary vendor that has continuously increased the price ceiling of computer hardware with each generation. They've done this more than the other three. And that's the reason why I didn't bother to go with Asus this generation. It has nothing to do with whatever they do with the BIOS behaving weird or going out of spec. Because apparently Gigabyte does it too, according to Buildzoid's video. So, and I'm using a Gigabyte motherboard. So I don't know why in our country 750X costs a bit cheaper than 13900K. If I didn't have a motherboard Z790, I would buy 750X with an AM5. Well, I guess my question to you is, why did you choose to go with the 12400 and a Z790 motherboard in the first place? Because if I was going to go with a 12400, I would have never bought a Z790 motherboard. I would have bought a Z690 motherboard. Like, my recommendation for Alder Lake would have been Z690 DDR4. That's what I would have done. Otherwise, I would have gone... If I was going to go DDR5, I would have gone with AM5. For many, many reasons. We've already talked about it in a previous live stream. Primarily because of actual proper PCI Gen 5 storage and graphics support. That's the main reason why I would have gone with AM5. And the socket upgradability. So here, now we can open up Paint. That's what I wanted to do. Let's bring up Paint. Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I would have done. If Alder Lake, you know, then we're just going to do if-then statements. If Alder Lake, then DDR4 plus Z690. Else if, well, I guess else, we'll just do else. Else Zen 5 plus X670E plus DDR5. That's basically the decision. This is the decision tree in my mind. Like, if I were you, and assuming you never bought the Z790 motherboard and the 12400. Uzbekistan. Yeah, so, yeah. You basically, I don't know why you chose Z790. I don't know if somebody recommended that for some reason. But 12400 plus Z790 was not a very good choice. Z790 was meant for the 13th generation, not the 12th generation. Now, it does work. You can run, obviously, you're running a 12400 inside a Z790 motherboard. You just bought prepared... Oh, you bought a pre-build. You did not build it yourself. Okay. Okay. Basically, this is the choices, though. Or these were the choices, assuming you never bought that PC. You would have done this. Basically, this would have been 12400. Or I guess i5 12400. If Alder Lake i5 12400, then DDR4 memory plus Z690 motherboard. Why would you buy a Z690 instead of a Z790? Because Z690 actually gives you more PCIe lanes on the motherboard for the expansion card slots. For example, with a Z690 motherboard, you can run a Thunderbolt 4 add-in card, and you can also run a 4K 60 frames per second capture card in the exact same motherboard. You cannot do this on a Z790 motherboard. The platform is way too limiting. I am very disappointed with Z790. I said this during the Raptor Lake launch, that the Z690 motherboards are a lot better for options for connectivity versus the newer Z790. Z790 is kind of a joke, and it's a gimmick. So that's the reason why I do not recommend that chipset at all. And it's unfortunate because Intel has already announced end of life for the Z690 chipset. So soon you will not be able to buy a Z690 motherboard, even though the Alder Lake CPUs are going to continue to be manufactured and sold into the market, or pushed into the market for the rest of this year into next year. So this is remember I told you guys, this is the year of Alder Lake in the data center. So there's going to be a lot of Alder Lake cores that are being cranked out of those Intel fabrication plants. Right. And this is the reason why if you look at this decision tree or this if-else statement, if we're starting with Alder Lake, which is 12th generation, then you're going on the cheap. What do I mean by that? DDR4, it's dirt cheap. Z690, it's cheaper than Z790, and it's actually better. So it's older and it's better. And by going with DDR4 and Alder Lake, you're saving money on memory. Otherwise, if you're going to buy DDR5, then you're going to want a future-proof platform that can actually change to... Oh, wait, why did I say Zen 5? Okay, I meant Zen 4. That's wrong. Zen 4. I mean, Zen 5 is if you wait till next year. But anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. Like, this motherboard will support Zen 5. So there is upgradability built into this platform. Meaning, you either go for the lower cost platform, or you go all in on a higher cost platform with new DDR5 memory, with the ability to upgrade to a newer CPU down the road for even better performance. So that is the reason why this is the most simple answer I can give you, is you either go with a Alder Lake processor and DDR4 memory and the older chipset, or you go for AMD's current generation. So Zen 4, X670E, and DDR5. You basically go all new, or you go with, you know, the budget option Intel. So that's basically the answer there. Yeah, because X670E is pretty nice. You can do Thunderbolt, you can do capture cards, you can do all this stuff. You don't have to compromise on lane sharing with your graphics card. If you want to do Gen 5 storage, it supports Gen 5 storage. I mean, it supports Gen 5 graphics cards that don't even exist right now. So this is truly the no compromise high-end desktop. Well, not high-end desktop. I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. It's not a high-end desktop. High-end desktop will be Threadripper. But it is currently the best that we have within the consumer desktop space. Threadripper is basically Threadripper Pro, and that's a workstation product, which is not really a consumer desktop platform. Technically, it's a consumer product because you can actually buy one if you wanted, but it is really not for that market segment. Z790 is only worth getting if you want DDR5, so you can clock DDR5 really high on Z690, except for a very small number of boards like the VGA Dark. Are you sure it's the motherboard? I don't think it's the motherboard. I think it's the CPU. Z690 can clock DDR5 very high. The difference is the IMC on the processor, not so much the motherboard. The motherboard might not have official support, but that's because when you look at the marketing on the Z690 motherboards, they're based off of the Alder Lake spec. And the Alder Lake spec was 4800 megahertz. See, I'm telling you, like, if I was a system integrator, and if I built PCs for clients, and if I was equipping the PC with a 12400F, so, like, for example, if I was going to build a PC for a client, and they were going to use a 12th generation product, so like a 12400F, or 12400, whatever, you know, like, okay, if this is the processor, let's just go all out. If this was the processor, well, it's not an i5. If this was the processor, then I'm going to equip it with 4800 megahertz DDR5. Like, that is what I would actually build the computer with. That is built to spec. Because with that memory speed and that processor, I can guarantee the customer that their PC will boot fast and it won't have any problems, and it won't have any instability. Now, if I'm talking Ryzen 9 7950X, do you know what I'm going to equip this one with? Let's see if the chat knows. Let's see if the chat knows. Like, if I was a system integrator and I was going to build someone a Zen 4 platform, what is the memory speed that I will equip the processor or the motherboard with? So for 12900K, I'm only going to do 4800. Correct. 5200 megahertz. That is what I would equip a client's PC with. Because I know that if I run that RAM at 5200 megahertz, it will boot fast. It will post fast. It'll boot fast. No one's going to complain about long post times. No one's going to complain about games crashing, instability issues, none of that stuff. I know it's going to work. It's going to run in Gear 1 mode, so it's 1-to-1 ratio at that speed. And it's guaranteed 100% works. It's not going to have any instability problems with that RAM. If it does, then that means that the RAM, one of the DIMMs, is actually defective and has to be RMA'd. Okay, and then finally, if I was going to build somebody with one of these, the 12900K, what is the memory speed that I will equip a 13900K with for the client? I saw a guy complaining that he had a lot of problems until he bought an Expo certified memory. Does that really matter? It could matter, but usually it doesn't. And we'll go into why it could matter. Usually, if the kit is an XMP certified profile, it'll most likely work. But if it's neither of them, then, you know, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But to close this out, what is the memory speed? Let's see if anyone in the chat knows. What is the memory speed that if I was going to build someone a 13900K based system, the memory that I would equip with that PC or with that processor and that motherboard? Let's see if anybody remembers. I bet Joey knows. Joey got the Ryzen question correct. This is like a multiple choice test, although I'm not showing the choices. He's saying 6,000. Anybody else want to take a guess? What would I equip the 13900K with in terms of the RAM speed? If I was going to build this for a client. Like if I was a system integrator and I built PCs and sold them to clients for a living. No takers. Okay. The question is, what would I... So you guys see what I would do, right? Like what I'm saying is if I was building somebody a PC with a 12900K, I would equip the 12900K with 4800 megahertz RAM because I know this is guaranteed to work per Intel. Likewise, with Ryzen 9 7050X, I would build someone a PC with 5200 megahertz because I know this is guaranteed by AMD to work. There will be no instability. So if I was going to build someone a 13900K based system, what is the memory speed that I'd equip the processor with? That's the question. Okay. I was waiting for somebody to get it right. So the correct answer is 5600 megahertz DDR5. This is the correct answer. So if I was going to build somebody a 1300K based system, I'd equip them with 5600 megahertz RAM. Now people are probably looking at this and are like, man, all three of those look really slow. Well, the thing is, all three of these are the official spec. Intel says 1300K is guaranteed to be 100% stable up to 5600 megahertz. Anything over that, regardless of whether it's XMP certified or not, is not guaranteed by Intel. Meaning you cannot try to RMA a 1300K just because you can't run RAM at like 7200 megahertz or 8000 megahertz. That is the JEDEC speed. That is actually the manufactured spec. So this is actually the official spec from Intel. The maximum official spec on the 1300K is 5600 megahertz and nothing higher. Likewise with Ryzen, the maximum speed is 5200 and the maximum speed on 12900 is 4800 megahertz. So just to round this out, let's look up these. Have to bring back up the thing, and then we'll look at the okay, so let's do AMD first. So here's the spec page for the Ryzen 9 7950X. Max memory speed for dual, this is dual DIMM, single rank DIMM, and then so basically this is like 2 sticks of RAM, single rank, max speed 5200. This is dual DIMM, dual rank, which is what I'm actually running right now. So I'm running a 2x2R configuration, and the maximum supported is 5200. Now I'm actually running that at 5600, and it works without any issues. So the other thing I want to mention about this, but this is specific to AMD, but this also applies to Intel, but to a lesser degree. Because of the way the memory controller is basically part of the SoC, the system on a chip, the SoC voltage is influenced by the memory voltage. And this is the reason why when Buildswood was trying like 1.6 volts or 1.5 volts on the DDR5 on the VDDQ, this is the reason why the BIOS kept raising the SoC voltage beyond 1.3. And that's part of the problem. So there is some dependency there between the RAM's voltage and the SoC voltage, because the IMC is actually in the SoC. It's physically located within it. So that's the reason why if you run your RAM at 6,000 megahertz or higher, typically you're going to need around 1.43 volts or so, somewhere around there, assuming you've got high NICs DIMMs. So that can potentially pull the SoC voltage above 1.3 volts. That's usually the problem. From what I've seen in my own testing, mine does about 1.25, somewhere between 1.25 to 1.28 is what I have seen on my own processor, my own SoC. So, but I am running 5600, so I never go to 6000. That's why I'll never see this problem. Like my RAM is literally at 1.18. It's like not even 1.2. Did I say RAM? I meant my SoC. My SoC voltage is like 1.18 or 1.16. That's usually where it sits on the SoC. And oftentimes when idling, it's like literally 1 volt or 0.99. So I never run into these problems because I don't push the RAM like way beyond the limits. And like I was saying, if you want to overclock, that's fine. But as a daily driver, you don't actually need to run the RAM that fast all the time. All right, so this is the max speed on the AMD. So now we're going to look at Intel. So the 12900K, if we look down here, memory type, DDR5, 4800 mega transfers. This is the maximum supported speed. They literally say up to DDR5 4800. Now, what Intel doesn't really do a good job, where AMD actually documents better, is AMD actually shows you like what is maximum supported for, 4 DIMMs versus 2 DIMMs. Now, obviously, 4 DIMMs are saying 3600, so that's kind of bad. But what this means is that you can kind of figure from this. It's like if you want to run overclocked, if you're doing like 2 DIMMs, you start at 52 and you go up typically to 6000. Now, if you're doing 4 DIMMs, you're starting at 36 and you're going up to like 52 or 54. That's usually where it caps out. The more RAM sticks you have, the harder it is to boost the clock to height. Yeah, because the voltage, because think of the RAM as kind of a voltage divider. Well, if people aren't familiar with the electrical engineering concept of a voltage divider, you got to divide all your voltages across like way more silicon, way more actual components, that being all those additional memory chips. And usually the memory is always now considered a daisy chain topology. And we talked about this in one of the overclocking live streams that we did. a few months ago. But when you're in a daisy chain topology, the reason why you plug in the memory to the 2 slots that are further from the CPU for each channel is because those slots, as it travels from the processor into... Did I disconnect? Did you guys lose me? No one's saying anything. Well, anyway, I think we're good. Basically, daisy chain is going to make it harder to run 4 DIMMs versus like T topology, because you don't have a node voltage anymore. You have like a serial line of where all the voltage has to go through and then loop around to get back. Okay, that's good. So this is the official spec. So the thing is, this is what sets expectations, and the thing is, like, most enthusiasts are going to try to overclock all their stuff anyway, so then this kind of just goes out the window. Now, Intel doesn't really tell you guidelines for dual channel versus, you know, or like dual DIMM versus 4 DIMMs, single rank versus dual rank. All they say is they certify up to 4800 on a 12th generation processor. All of the 12th generation processors are spec'd for up to 4800. So people are probably wondering, well, why don't you just run it at like 56 or 6000 or whatever? Well, the thing is, if I'm selling the PC as a system integrator, if I'm selling this to a customer, I don't want that customer trying to send me an email or call me up in the middle of the night saying, hey, my games are crashing. What's wrong with this PC? It's not working. See, I'm going to avoid all of that by running the RAM at the actual manufacturer specification. Because I know that I don't have to deal with like Silicon Lottery, and being able to support that and scale that out from a business standpoint makes a lot more sense than trying to like fine tune something and overclock and all that stuff and then it not being 100% stable. So that's the reason why if it's 12th generation, 4800. If it's AMD, 5200. If it's 13th generation, 13900K. There you go. 5600 megatransfers, up to 5600 megatransfers. So, what does this also prove? This gives us insight into why the 13th generation overclocks a lot higher than the 12th generation and the AMD first gen DDR5 stuff. Well, it's because you can tell right here, like if the default supported speed is 56, that means there's going to be a lot more headroom for overclocking this versus something that's spec'd for 4800 versus something that's spec'd for 5200. So hope that clarifies that, because you know, people are like, why are these memory speeds so slow? Well, they're not really slow. It's just somebody set their expectations wrong. And someone didn't actually read manufacturer specifications. So, yeah, you can overclock any of them. Typically, the one that has the highest starting speed is going to be the one that overclocks the best. It's kind of a no-brainer. So anyway, that explains why, well, that explains the RAM stuff and like how to ensure stability. Okay, what was the other, there was another question. Oh, there was the question about like, 70, wait, there was something about the, oh, the Z790. If I didn't have my, I don't know. So I guess the answer is always do your research before just like buying something. Okay. I guess, oh, the last thing we can talk about, go back here. Is there like an article for the 4060? 4060 Ti somewhere. Well, whatever. 4060 Ti is coming out. I guess. What do we know again? Or what are we thinking that the prices are gonna be? So the 40. Let's do the AMD ones. So this one is, well, let's just start with this one. This really needs to be $799. That's what I think it should be. It's not. It's becoming that. It's becoming that because of the market. This one is probably going to be $649, and then I don't know what this is going to be. But then there's this. There's probably going to be one of these, and then there's going to be this. So this thing is probably going to be $299. It could be something weird like $279. They could do $279, and then every AIB is going to sell it for like $300. So they could do that. Just so they can say that it's, you know, below $300. Of course, because no one likes to consider this below $300. But they might do something like that. I can see them doing that for that one. And then this one could be $349 or $379, somewhere around there. AMD likes to do that weird like 79. They like to do $379, $479. They price things a lot like that. They'll either do $49 or $79. They don't do a lot of like $99 unless they're like at $1,000 or $900. You know what I'm saying? So like if we include this one, they'll say it's $999, and then technically this one's supposed to be $899, but that's dumb and it shouldn't be that much. So it should be really $799. And it is that way because if you start looking at it on Newegg, you're seeing a lot of them trend around $799 to $849, somewhere around there, typically. And then so that kind of leaves the door open for this one to be like $549. Does this make sense? Well, the thing is, these are like, there's a big gap between those two. Well, there's like a $100 gap here. They could actually do $499 actually. They're not gonna do $549 on that one. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, they could do that. But then I feel like they're missing something. I feel like something's missing in that line right there. And then for the NVIDIA ones, let's start with 4080. $1199. 4070 Ti is $799. And then 4070 is $600, so $599. So 4060 Ti is coming out. This one, let's see. So there's like a $200 difference between the 70 Ti and the non-Ti. So this one I think is going to be $449. Somewhere around there. I think it's going to be around there. Because that's still $100 difference between that and the 70. So there is differentiation there. And that way they can sell this one for like $3 something. Like that. You know what I'm saying? Like $100 difference between the Ti and the non-Ti. So whereas the 70s are like a $200 price difference, the 60s are like a $100 price differential. And then you've got 4050 down here, which will be like whatever they decide to do. Just gonna put some arbitrary number there. So it all makes sense actually. Like the price, basically, the 70 cards are what the 80 cards used to be priced at a long time ago, And the 60s are now what the 70s used to be priced at a long time ago. And the 50 is now what the 60 used to be back in the day. That's basically it. That's how the price structure has changed on the Nvidia side. So the AMD one, the pricing structure hasn't really changed from the previous generation to this generation. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. The one outlier on AMD is kind of like this one right here. Because this one was 900. Like, I should actually put 900. But no one's actually buying it at 900. So, it's the new one. It's the new one. A lot of people say that should be a 7800 XT. And it probably should. But then the 700 XTX would be a 7900 XT. So, anyway, that's my updated price predictions or price list for these graphics cards. So hopefully that makes sense. The logic makes sense at least. Right, so this one competes with this, typically. And then this one will compete with that, but it's priced a lot lower. This is in a weird spot. So this one is also now kind of competing with that. So actually, I should take that back. I think this one is still going to compete with... Basically, there's going to be like 2 AMD cards that compete with the same NVIDIA card. The only difference is one of them is priced basically the same, and the other one, but it's faster than the NVIDIA card. And then the other one is as fast as the NVIDIA card, but it's like a lot cheaper. So that's kind of strange. And then this one, I don't know. I have a feeling this one is going to be somewhere between those two. And then this is going to be like this, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and then this is going to be like that. Or faster than that. I don't know. I don't really pay attention that much to the lower end of the market, but I think that that's how they line up. You basically have 2 AMD cards that are kind of... I don't know. Like, the performance... Okay, so if I'm going to arrange all of them based off of the performance... let's see how this is going to look. So... And we're talking like rasterization, because that's the objective way to look at performance. Okay, so it would be like... No, that's wrong. 4080, then this, then this. The thing is, this is probably going to be equal to that. Or they're going to be like really close. I'm guessing the TI, the 4070 Ti will probably be a tiny bit faster, because the thing is, this is so close to a 6950 XT, so that's why it's kind of weird to say that that's slower. So I'm actually going to say that they're about equal. They're going to be so close together in performance that you're barely going to be able to tell the difference. And then the next one's probably going to be 4070, and then this one. And then this, then that, then that, then that, and then this is the slowest one, or something like that. I don't know. I think it's gonna be like that. This is how I'm gonna rank them. I think they're gonna be basically the way I'm listing them here. So the closest ones, actually, one could argue that 4080 is so close to the XTX, because sometimes it does actually... These are like almost equal to, so we'll just do that. They're so close together, but the problem is... Yeah, and they're kind of similar in price, although the 4080 is trending downward faster than the XTX, so they're kind of the same price. And they're almost the same in performance. 4080 loses by, like, you know, single-digit percentages, so you can kind of say they're equivalent in rasterization. And then the TI, the 4070 Ti and the 7800 XT are basically going to be equivalent because I expect the 7800 XT to be very similar to a 6950 XT. So then 4070's probably going to be a little bit faster than the 7700 XT. If history repeats itself, that's going to be the case. And then everything just kind of falls in line with exactly the way it was in the previous generation. So where does that leave Intel's Arc? Intel's Arc today is somewhere around a 6600 XT to a 6700. Most of the time. It's becoming more like a 6700 non-XT. So I'm going to say that Intel's A770 is probably going to be somewhere here. I guess. Or it could end up, well, you know what? This could end up being equal to that. Maybe. Worst case scenario, the 4050 is equal to an A770, and that means the A750 will be down at the bottom. Do you think Battle Mage will target 4070? But the thing is, Battle Mage is coming out next year, though. Oh, you take the... Yeah. So... Battle Mage is going to be next year, so it's like, that's so far away, it's not even worth talking about at this point. So yeah. That's my prediction in terms of like graphics cards, where they line up price-wise and performance-wise. It's basically a repeat of, well, not quite a repeat. Well, it kind of is, but not really, because, yeah, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same at the top of the stack, but everything from here down is exactly the same as last generation. Here's where it gets kind of different, like up here. Because the 6800 XT was like a 3080, and the 6900 XT was like a 3090 or 3080 Ti, but 3080 Ti and 3090 are almost the same too. So that's the main difference. So I think at some point this year, what I can see Nvidia do. So some people are probably wondering, like, what about the high end, or what about like the enthusiast class stuff? So what I think is going to happen later this year, probably sometime in like August, September, there will be a 4080 Ti. 4080 Ti is going to launch. And here, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I don't know if it's going to be true, but I think Nvidia is going to say, we hear gamers saying that they want lower prices. So, we are going to be so good to everyone, to all of our GeForce family members and all of the fans. We are going to announce a price cut, a permanent price cut on the RTX 4080. The new price, $999. $999 RTX 4080. But what they're going to do, they're going to announce, but I have one more thing. RTX 4080 Ti. $1199. $1199. DLSS 3.0. Frame generation technology. AV1 encoding. 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X. the energy efficiency from the TSMC node. Yeah, that is exactly how Jensen Huang is going to sell this thing. So I think what they're going to do is rather than introduce a 4080 Ti at $1,400, I think they're going to do what they did when the GTX 1080 Ti launched. They're going to drop the price just like they did for the 80 SKU. The GTX 1080. The GTX 1080 started at $599, but it was $699 for the FE. $699 for the Founders Edition. Why did I do a percent sign? This is its original pricing, just so people know. Just to set the record straight, this is the actual pricing. So if you want the FE of the GTX 1080, which was the best one, not some dumb AIB one, but the actual legitimate Founders Edition one, the one that everybody wanted, the one that has all the resale value on eBay, that one, $699. But what did they do in 2017? Jensen Huang got on stage announcing a new price cut for the GTX 1080 to make it more affordable to gamers everywhere. They got rid of this stupid $100 markup and they changed the price $549. $549 for the FE. $549 for the Founders Edition. But the thing is, they never actually said anything about the AIBs. So all the AIBs are basically selling their graphics cards at the exact same price. So nothing actually changed there. But the FE was cheaper. It was like $150 less. You know why I know this? Because this is how much money I paid for my GTX 1080 when I bought it in the summer of 2017. That's why I know that. I literally walked into a Best Buy and paid $549 in like June or May of 2017 and bought a GTX 1080. That's why I know that. You guys know me in that memory. I got the memory. I got a lot of RAM up here and I can remember all that stuff. So what they did was they announced GTX 1080 Ti. The new king. $699 for the Founders Edition. So I think they're going to deploy a similar strategy with the upcoming 4080 Ti. They're going to do a price drop on the 4080. And why are they going to do it? Because they're not selling enough of it. And they want to push more, and it's been out in the market for a while now. So when they're able to drop 4080 Ti, they're going to sell 4080 Ti for the price of a 4080, and they're going to drop 4080 down to the price of an XTX so that it's going to put more pressure on AMD because the XTX cards have been selling pretty well. Now the sales of the XTX has slowed down because you can regularly find them on Newegg. However, I can tell that the XTX is still heavily in demand because it oftentimes is still constantly sold out on AMD's website. That's how I know it still has strong demand. So when NVIDIA does this, this is basically going to be a move to make the 4080 more relevant and more competitive on a pricing standpoint with the XTX. Because the XTX beats it in rasterization and it beats it in VRAM, which arguably is where I think the XTX is still going to have a better value statement for the long term over the 4080. But the 4080 Ti is really going to be the one that I think is going to push people to want to get one of those. People who avoided 4090 because it's just too much money, because like typical AIB 4090s are like what, like 1700, 1800. A lot of people, they become very uncomfortable when the GPU is creeping up against $2,000. But like down there at closer to $1,000, that's going to make it a much easier pill to swallow. I think Battle Mage will... Okay, where would the 4080 Ti fall, though? It needs to fill a 25% gap to reach 4090 level, according to Tech Power Up. It's not going to be as fast as a 4090. It's going to be slower. I don't know what the SM count would be, but so it's basically going to be like this. You have 4090. Currently you have 7900 XTX. And then you have 4080. So it's literally going to fall in right between those two. That's where it's going to go. It's going to be faster than a 7900 XTX in rasterization. It's going to be slower than a 4090 in rasterization. So that's why they're going to price it appropriately. They're going to do like 1200 this time. I think Nvidia has gotten the message that the gamers are kind of mad about the way the 4080 is priced. So they're going to try to pretend like they're going to be the savior, and they're going to drop it down to $1,000. They're going to claim under $1,000. They're going to claim fastest GPU with RT at under $1,000. Now, granted, it's literally $999. And then they're going to drop in the 4080 Ti at the original price of the 4080. That's what they're going to do. Because that's going to be way more compelling. This is going to be way more compelling than, like, doing nothing with the 4080's price and then trying to drop in 4080 Ti at, like, $1,400 or $1,399. 4090 has 128. And 4080 has 76, so 4080 Ti needs to be at least around 110. Yeah, somewhere around there. I can see them doing like 106 or some random 108 or some weird number. I don't know how I'd have to look at the architecture block diagram to figure out how the SMs would be allocated. But it would be somewhere in between the two of them. It's not going to be like a 4090. If people are hoping that the 4080 Ti is going to be roughly the same as a 4090 for like $1,200, because technically the 3080 Ti, the 3080 Ti was very close to a 3090, very close. But remember what the prices were: $1,200 for a 3080 Ti, $1,500 for a 3090. The difference was, one of them had 12 gigabytes of VRAM. The other one had 24 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, granted, half of that RAM cooks itself on the back of the PCB on the 3090. But that's besides the point. You're paying $300 to double your memory and to get a few more SMs. That's basically what the 3090 was. So I think NVIDIA's going to do that, so that way they're going to be like, hey gamers, you guys are telling us that we're always raising prices. But in reality, 2080 Ti Founders Edition was $11.99. 3080 Ti was $11.99 MSRP. Oh, guess what? We're not raising the prices either on generation over generation. We've kept them flat. So why are you mad at us? We're doing you a favor. We're dropping the price on the 4080 because nobody wants it. And now we're going to give you something that you actually want. The Ti, the one that everybody always wishes they had. So that's what they're going to do. I'm making that prediction. I don't know if it's going to come true. We'll see what happens later this year. But it'll be interesting. I don't have any insider knowledge. I don't have any leaks. I could be completely wrong. But hopefully you guys understand the logic behind my thinking. Like why I think GPUs will be priced the way they end up being priced. Where they fall in terms of performance. Where they fall in terms of like the justification for their prices. That's what I think is going to happen with the NVIDIA cards. And AMD is going to play up the whole VRAM thing. They're going to say, oh, it's only 16 gigs of VRAM. Well, the thing is, 16 gigs of VRAM is still good. You know, like, it's still good today. But for 4K, though, it's starting to become questionable. But for 1440p, I think 16 gigs is still good. That's why I still recommend the 6950 XT for 1440p. It's 16 gigs, and it's really, really good at 1440p. And it's at a pretty decent price compared to all the other alternatives. You think AMD would respond to this move? Possibly. I think AMD should come out and say that this thing is $799. That's like the thing they really need to do. They need to make this thing equal in price officially to the 4070 Ti, because this thing literally destroys this card. The thing is, it's so mind-boggling how people will walk into a Micro Center and they'll immediately buy one of these when there's literally a 7900 XT at the exact same price. Both of them are typically $849. So if you were to go into a Micro Center tomorrow and you go in there, you look at the 4070 Ti's, most of them are $849. They're $50 over MSRP. On the other side of the aisle, you'll see the 7900 XT. And most of those at Micro Center are $849. They're $50 below their MSRP. Now, the thing is, one of them has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's marked up by $50. The other one has 20 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's marked $50 below its MSRP. This is the power of the mind share that NVIDIA has in the public. It can sell an inferior product for the same price. It's insane to someone who actually understands hardware. It's crazy, but it is what it is. You know, they're essentially selling you a 7800 XT competitor or a 6900 XT competitor for like $200 or more than the 6950 XT's current price. That's how ludicrous it is to me, how like people will just mindlessly go and buy the 4070 Ti. Now the 4070 Ti is not really selling that well, but it is selling better than the 4080. I'll tell you that. 4070 Ti is selling a lot faster than the 4080. But the one that's really selling is this one. You guys don't believe me? You will see. Give it like 4 to 6 months. You start looking at those Steam hardware surveys, you're going to start seeing 4070s like grow in number, despite the fact that they're $600 and everyone else and all the YouTubers were complaining that it's overpriced hot garbage. Well, they weren't. That's a little extreme. They were typically saying that this was overpriced hot garbage. But you know, this thing, it got an okay review. It's like a 7 out of 10 in terms of its average review score, from what I could remember. So people are gonna buy it, and people are buying it. You know, it's $600. People are like, well, you know, it'll allow me to game better than a PS5. And it's only $100 more than a PS5. So, you know, that's how they're gonna justify buying it. You know what I'm saying? So that one's gonna be the one that sells. This is gonna be a very popular one. Rest assured, 4060 Ti, that one's gonna be a really popular one. At $449, people are going to be like, oh, it's easier to justify because it's more like the price of a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. But it's faster, you know, like, so, you know, whatever. So that's what's going to happen. I don't know, like AMD, honestly, I think the only thing AMD is going to do is probably just drop this to $799. I don't think they're going to do anything with the XTX pricing. Even if NVIDIA drops 4080 to $999, I don't even think AMD is going to care. Like, they're not really going to do anything because the AIB 4080s are still going to sell the same or slightly more than the AIB AMD cards. So it's like, yeah, whatever. They don't really have to do anything there. It's the 7900 XT that needs to come down officially by like $100. $450 in a Redfall code. Yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for this stream, guys. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm trying to think, like, what... So there will be a stream next week. I don't know if there'll be a stream this... Well, actually, you know what? I don't know if there's going to be a stream next week. We'll see. There's something that I have to do, like, on Friday next week that may... It may cause me to move next week's stream to Friday evening instead of the typical Thursday evening. So... if that happens, I'll announce it in the Discord. I'm pretty sure there's a very high chance that that's going to happen. So I'm just letting people that are watching now know that next Thursday there probably won't be a stream, and it'll probably be on Friday instead of Thursday, or it'll be on the weekend or something like that, like a Saturday stream or something like that. So anyway, guys, that's gonna be it. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks.